So let's go through some of your favorite picks of every round. So we're going through every round right here, and maybe one or two players who you thought were awesome picks. And in round number one, no surprise, the Eagles, who have gotten a lot of love, almost too much love. Like 2 years in a row in the draft. I feel like it's getting inappropriate at this point. 22nd overall, they took corner one on your board, many other teams' boards in Quinyon Mitchell.
He corner one on everybody's board. That's one thing I'm pretty confident about.
Not everyone's board. My guy Brad Holmes said that Terrion Arnold was number one on his board.
Yeah, we'll get to that later there, buddy.
We do need to look at the boards to make sure that people aren't lying to our faces.
But no, it's Quinyon Mitchell, man-to-man cover corner, lockdown at pick 22, and a guy that they were definitely looking to go, wait, we'll trade up to get him, and he just falls into their lap. And I think it's not only that, it's not about the talent. It's like they only have one need on their whole football team, and it was corner, and they got the best one in the draft. And then you went, wait, what's the second need they need in a football team? Oh, it's a safety kind of nickel guy? Oh, my gosh, they're going to get him in round 2, too, and Cooper DeJean? I mean, yeah, that's where it's crazy. And then when you're so good and your team is so amazing, you can make a you pick in round 3 with Jalix Hunt, who is totally raw but has all the physical tools, and that guy that could be like, hey, the Eagles have like some star from Houston Christian University, like, and it's like, yeah, you know, they because they're so well built, they can maybe take a chance on that guy like that a little earlier than most teams because there's no desperate need on their football team.
Yeah. There was one homie who commented, I don't know who it was, I was reading it earlier this morning, that said they were an Eagles fan, and they go, I loved the fact that Chris was saying that every team was going to take Cooper DeJean, and you were upset when Quinyon Mitchell went to the Eagles, and just knowing he already knew that Cooper DeJean was going to the Eagles, it was just like, this is great.
Oh, my gosh, it's amazing.
It's making
really
Chris even more and more mad, and although they did take Jeremiah Trotter, and you were not that high in Jeremiah Trotter, so maybe one
mess
pick
up
for
there,
the Eagles that you don't like. But
Trevor Keegan is a good fifth-round pick, a linebacker, right? You know, that was good, certainly. Yeah, but I think it's really those top 3 that I just went, again, for a team that doesn't need much and has pretty good depth. You know, they got some guys that can play and help their football team, like, no doubt, right away with Mitchell and DeJean.
It was Adam Blackall that said, hey, Chris, remember that time your man crush fell to the Eagles, then you kept calling for DeJean the next 5 picks, and then the Eagles get him too? I loved that.
Thank you, Adam Blackall, Mr. Eagles fan. Thank you. Thank you for continuing to dominate the NFC East.
And so those were your favorite picks of round 1 and round 2.
They were.
Quinyon Mitchell
Both
and
Eagles.
Cooper DeJean.
I know.
And so this is what I will say about the Eagles. I will give them some praise here, even though everyone else is doing it, and I feel like it's getting gross at this point.
Yeah.
They do a good job of accumulating draft picks. I don't think that they think that they are experts at necessarily picking out the right player. They realize that the more chances you have at it,
the more
better.
swings.
The more swings you take, the better.
Right. And this one, they set the record, right, with 8 trades in the draft.
Yeah, trading down most of the time.
Yeah.
Maybe all the time.
Yeah, well, they got the asset game, you know, in a perfect world. They're so ahead of the game with the players they have, the depth, and what they built that, yeah, they have the ability to kind of play with their assets maybe more than other teams.
Play with their assets. That's what the Eagles do. Round 3, your round 3 favorite player. Who was that?
It was your middle linebacker, your squad, Junior Colston, right? I mean, Junior Colston, I think, was, without question, my round 3 favorite. I think Colson, excuse me. I always want to add a T in there. My bad. But Colson was my favorite linebacker in the draft. They needed a Jim Harbaugh, physical thumper type of middle linebacker there, right? So they addressed that. You know, I think he's perfect. And what else works there, Ahmed? Oh, the Michigan D coordinator's there. Oh, the middle linebacker's usually the quarterback of the D, so he's going to be able to coach everybody up, kind of get everybody in the right spot. It's that way, right? I like the Chargers draft in general. They've gotten a little flack, and I want to be like, wait, they got Joe Alt, and you're mad at that? They got Ladd McConkey, who's like a great all-around receiver to complement the 2 big guys they got in Palmer and Johnson. Now you got the little jitterbug who can do it all. Colson, we talk about. Yeah, I'm a fan of all of that right there. The Alabama D tackle is a damn good football player. Getting Cornelius Johnson from Michigan, who's better than a round 7 pick, right? So everybody was busting on them because of what? They didn't take Malik Neighbors at 5? No, they got Jim. When people go, well, culture, what does culture mean? It means when Jim Harbaugh takes over a team, he gets guys that he thinks will fit how he wants to coach. They'll understand his message. When he yells at them, he knows they're going to be able to handle it, right? That's culture. They're going to buy into what he's selling and how he's coaching the team. And I think he got a lot of those guys in this draft.
I mean, we've seen it the past few years. Justin Herbert just getting beat up. A lot of times getting hurt. You want to protect your most valuable asset that you have on your football team, and that is just
and they haven't been able to run the ball there in a decade with the Chargers. So now they're going to be. Harbaugh wants to run the football, and you talk about this guy at right tackle, Slater at left tackle. Zion Johnson, the Boston College guard, right? At the other guard. I mean, they got something working there to where they can be real dominant up front.
Nicholas Medayer, 3, says, I love that the Chargers used their first 2 picks going with Joe Alt plus Ladd McConkey instead of going wide receiver first with Malik Neighbors and then whatever else as their second-round pick. And you're right. They got Cornelius Johnson, 7th-round flyer.
Right.
They got Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's
exactly
son.
Right. Another
USC
guy.
flyer, 7th round.
Right. That are going to be better than people think and know how to play and are going to be like NFL ready to where we're going to go, damn, they got these good, 4th receivers in the 7th round. And it's like, yeah, well, Jim's been coaching college football a little bit. He kind of knows the in on some of these guys. And Cornelius Johnson was a guy that I know you watched Michigan. I was up there. He's from here in Connecticut. He went to Brunswick High School right around the corner from where I live, right? He's a player. He is, and he got to open a lot for them. He's not a star, but he's a player. I like the draft by the Chargers. Good
He
job.
and Roman Wilson could not star for them, but they're faster than you would think. Angel Walks, California, CA, says, I like that for the first time in over a decade, thanks Tom Telesco, the Chargers were able to get some picks after the 2nd round that have a good chance to contribute early in their careers. So Charger fans are feeling good. The Jim Harbaugh era off to a good start.
Right.
You have another pick in round 3 that you really liked. 82 to the Cardinals.
Well, this team, I think they killed the draft, the Arizona
Overall.
Cardinals. I do, overall. And I love the other favorite 3rd-round pick was Tip Raymond, the tight end from, Illinois, the combine. The only guy that got cheers when he moved the sled, right? Because he was the only guy that could move the sled in the blocking drill out of the tight ends, right? Remember that? We laughed about that.
It was very impressive.
Yeah, he's a stonehead. He's made for NFL football. He's arguably the best run blocking tight end in the draft. He's powerful. His pass game is going to be better than people expect. It's going to be more valuable. He's very big. He can adjust to the ball. He's going to be one of those guys where it's like, yeah, he's covered, but damn, to get your arms around him to actually knock the ball, we can't get our arms around him. He's too big. It's going to be Grunkish that way. So that's where I love that. And yes, as a whole, the Cardinals, they made this draft big last year. Remember how they traded out and acquired all these picks? And damn, Monty Ossenfort and company, they killed it in Arizona, I thought.
So you like Marvin Harrison, even though what people say out there, you didn't have him number 1, but still he is
of course.
A difference-making wide receiver. And then they got Darius Robinson, who I thought maybe my Detroit Lions would take at the end of the first round.
I thought
he was
so
a
too,
Detroit
maybe.
guy.
You're right.
The defensive lineman, Max Melton from Rutgers. He was your number, 3 or 4 corner?
I think he was my number 4, I think. Right.
And so that's their first 3 picks. Thomas Allison, 5, says the Cardinals draft was so good that Mike Florio hasn't written a negative Cardinals-related article in over 3 days. It's been over 3 days.
That's when you know it's good.
Text him right now, Pete. Text him right now.
He's like, damn, they're not dysfunctional when it comes to the draft, all right? But no, I mean, it's hey, Harrison Jr., love it. Darius Robinson, you know what I think about him. I mean, to me, he's got DeForest Buckner-ish type of ability with him, let alone I think there's some outside value there too. But when you look at their team, right, they have a lot of good on the D-line. They have no difference maker on the D-line. So that's where I like that. I think that was a much-needed area to address with their football team. Max Melton is one of the few guys, as you know, is a shutdown man-to-man island type of corner. They don't have that. You get Trey Benson to back up James Conner. I like that. That's going to be good. We talk about Tip Raymond, right? The tackle from Isaiah Adams from Illinois is not bad. But then even the Dadrion Taylor
Demerson, the safety from Texas Tech.
Great athlete. He was one of the better athletes at safety in the whole draft. So that was another really good one I like. I thought overall it was like one of those where it hit needs and it hit quality. And when I see that, I like it a lot.
You also liked a lot what the Steelers did at wide receiver in round 3.
Well, round 3, that would be definitely another one of my favorite picks. I mean, first off, I liked Roman Wilson. I know you liked Roman Wilson, but you're biased, and
you can't
you're
take
a
my
Michigan
opinion.
fan.
I know it's just,
but
I recuse myself from this conversation.
But you did like that he was my number 5 rated wide receiver, and damn, it made me feel good inside when the Steelers took him. Because the Steelers always have the magic eye about receivers. So I was like, oh, good, Steelers took him. That makes me feel good about where I put him. Like, they're going to see what I saw. I think he's one of the best all-around receivers in the draft. He's going to be perfect. They got a day one starter opposite George Pickens in the 3rd round, and a guy that can do it all. Play on the outside, play the slot, do that. But then how do you not like the 2 damn offensive linemen they got? They must have shit their pants when Troy Fautino was there at 20, right? I think I had Graham Barton there. Most of the league had Troy Fautino off the board at 20.
Some people were even saying, like, hey, don't be shocked if he is 1 or 2 off the board. Like, who knows if a team loves him.
Don't be shocked. I wouldn't have been shocked if the Jets took him at 10. I mean, there was, I think, a lot of teams that I thought were, like, going to be in the run. So they must have been like, oh, my gosh, he's here? Run to the board, run to the podium. And then Zach Frazier at center. Yeah, that was damn awesome. Roman Wilson, an athletic linebacker, and Peyton Wilson, really like that. And damn corner from Texas, Ryan Watts ain't bad either.
So Jamie Barber says, I loved that the Falcons proved my Steelers offensive coordinator wasn't the problem when he was head coach, and the Steelers just rocked it again. Samuel Tessier says, I love that the Steelers took a chance on Peyton Wilson. He's a freak athlete, smart player, and seems like a humble person. Was he the best linebacker in the draft? Well, according to our rankings, which we didn't do linebacker rankings,
not totally,
but we talked
right.
about him.
Yeah.
You were not in love with what you saw from Peyton Wilson, but 3rd round at this point in the draft,
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Probably a good
It's kind of where I thought he would be, right? He's we've seen guys like him, I think, get overdrafted and go in like the mid-second, and I think the league realized, like, wait, good athlete, got injury history, right? Doesn't play necessarily the most physical brand of football. So liked him a lot. But, yeah, I think there's some of that 1st and 2nd down thumping that he's going to have to kind of work on a little bit. Going to be awesome. Pass game, screens to the sideline, any of that, he's going to be really good. And, hey, to our first question with at Jamie Barbour, the Falcons, Arthur Smith, he's going to fit how the Steelers want to play offensive football and what they do. I think this is going to work, just right. With this offensive line, that running back, get Russell Wilson on track. They're not going to put too much on his shoulders, and now they got 2 good damn receivers with that tight end. They're going to be a pain in the butt on offense.
Scarecrow Boat says, for the Bills, I love that we weren't afraid of trading down with Kansas City. Used the 3rd rounder they gave us to take your guy, Dwayne Carter, defensive lineman out of Duke. And I also think Keon Coleman is a better all-around wide receiver than Xavier Worthy anyways. So Scarecrow Boat liking what the Bills did, and you did like that round 3 pick, 95 overall, Dwayne Carter going to Buffalo.
I did. Was that you that sent me the text that, like, Saban said I like him a lot more than the most or whatever?
Saban was really coming off as an unbuttoned listener because he said that Marshawn Lloyd might have been his favorite running back.
Right.
And that he said he liked Dwayne Carter more than some of the guys who'd already been taken.
Right.
And I was like, okay, did you just – I mean, I know that he hasn't been in media that long, so we probably had to
subscribe, rate, review, Mike.
Cut some corner.
Yeah, come on.
That's all we ask, Nick.
Just
write a review.
Right.
Tell
Put
your
a little
friends.
comment under there.
Share it with 5 of your coach friends.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, I do like the Bills draft. I love Keon Coleman at 33. I do like Keon Coleman overall better than Xavier Worthy. I do. Xavier Worthy has his purpose that is amazing, and it's elite. I get that. Keon Coleman, to me, is going to be more every down, more consistent use. Huge human being, awesome route runner. One of the best route runners in the draft, right? With the ball in his hands, he can make people miss. He can break tackles. And, of course, as we said on Thursday, or no, I guess I said on social media on Friday night, right? I mean, he has a chance to be the best jump ball, 50-50 back shoulder receiver in all of football. So I love that. And they needed that. They're going to be big on offense. You think about that? Think about their O-line's pretty big. Now you got the 2 tight ends on the field and this guy, right? Which I think 2 tight ends is going to be a normal part of their offense here as we go forward. Like, this guy's he's big as a small tight end in some cases here.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have something. I think he's perfect for a Josh Allen because Josh Allen, even when you're covered, you're not covered, and that's where this guy's gonna come in handy for that guy.
So the Bills did catch some flack for trading with the Chiefs, and then they used that pick to get the guy who is the fastest that we've ever seen at the Combine.
Right.
As a rule, do you think that's like an organizational no-no?
Well,
if you're going to trade, and you know they're going to take maybe a wide receiver, and that's the position you want to, do you not trade with the Chiefs
I think
of all
there's
teams?
that a little bit. Yes, there's that aspect, and then like who they traded with the Bills to get Patrick Mahomes, right? So they're scarred with anything that's traded.
Like
with
never
the Chiefs.
probably stop
Right,
trading
stop
with them.
trading with them, right? You know, you traded with them, and they got the greatest quarterback to ever live. Like, please don't. So I mean, I understand that thought, but again, I don't think they were looking for that type of guy. Right, I think they look at Shakir and Mac Hollins, and I'm maybe missing somebody else that's a part of their offense that they look at and go, wait, that's our speed guy. We're good with that. Oh, Curtis Samuel. Exactly. I knew I was missing somebody. So they have that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're going, no, we need more meat and potatoes. And Coleman is the guy that I think can be a great slot receiver, like an Anquan Bolden. Cole Bishop at safety, they needed that. Bishop is awesome. He can be good in coverage. He's actually more comfortable in the box down there. And what he does there, I love that. And then, I love Dwayne Carter. I mean, to get him in the third round, to me, is one of the steals of the draft.
Do you think the Bills go, Brandon Beane says, who are you going to take? And they go, Worthy. And we go, okay, we don't like Worthy. We don't think he's that good. All right, we'll do the deal. Do coaches, I think
they asked that at
times. They go, who are you going to take?
Yeah. I think they're it's not you're not crazy to ask that. Like, who are you thinking about here? Whatever. Like,
sometimes they'll go offense. We're looking offense here, right? If they don't want to tell the player.
I mean, I think there's little talks like that go on through those conversations there.
Let's go to round 4.
Yeah.
112 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. One of your top 5 corners in DeCamerion Richardson goes off the board there. Would you? I mean, that's pretty good value for a guy that you think flew under the radar for most people. You were higher on him than basically everyone out there, except maybe the Raiders.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't played a ton, right? And I think he's a little raw that way, and doesn't have maybe a sexiness about him. This was another one that made me feel warm and cozy, though, because I know Patrick Graham and company can evaluate DBs coming from New England and doing that. And I think they just look at his length and his size, and they go, wait, between that and then the way he runs is pretty special, and he changes directions damn well. They had a solid draft. I mean, I like Jackson Powers-Johnson, DJ Glaze out of Maryland, of course, the other tackle they got, because they need O-linemen. That's one of the problems with the Raiders. And then getting Brock Bowers, I think, was a little bit like, oh, shit, like we thought Michael Penix was going to be here. What do we do? And they took the best player on their board in Bowers.
Yeah, how's that going to work, though? Because they took Michael Mayer last year.
They
a 2 tight end team
They're
as
going to
well?
go 2 tight ends, right? They're going to put you in that bind. Antonio Pierce, I think, is telling you a little bit. We're going to run the ball. We're going to be physical that way. We're going to play through my defense. And, they'll work those 2 guys with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. And you go, damn, that's a pretty good 4 guys to throw the football to.
Tripod 2X says this was the first year in a long time that the Raiders didn't completely do the opposite of consensus and confuse everyone. Seems like they got a lot faster and meaner overall. I like it.
Yep.
And Young Denzel says, I love that the Raiders went best player available. Got some great players instead of reaching for players. The Brock Bowers and Jackson Powers-Johnson picks were amazing. Also got your number 5 corner, hopefully to develop into a great press man corner.
I think that's exactly what it'll be. That'll be the game plan. And then, with those first 2 picks, you got 2 starters that I think are ready right now. So that's the best part. I mean, Bowers and Jackson Powers-Johnson will help you out immediately.
So Pete is noting here in real time that with the Bears last year, the now Raiders offensive coordinator and Luke Getsy used 2 tight end sets at the 7th highest rate in the NFL. Yeah,
I wouldn't have guessed it's up there that high, but that's good to know. I could see that being their style and how they want to attack here. They don't want to make it about their quarterbacks. I don't think they're looking like, hey, we want to throw the ball 40 times a game, right, with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. I think they're looking like, no, we got to, not put too much on them. They'll get us out a few binds here and there, and we just got to play a good overall team football game.
This surprised me a bit. Round 4, 113 overall. You think the Ravens knocked it out of the park with the wide receiver Devontae Walker?
I do. I just think
we didn't talk a lot about Walker when we talked about wide receivers out of North Carolina.
Right. Yeah, I for this guy here at this spot, I think what I like too is, I think they have to really kind of, I don't want to say worry about their receivers, But like we kind of talked about the other day, Rashad Bateman is hurt a lot. He's been hurt a lot, right? So I think that's where it's a nice little insurance policy for them that way. But like the biggest thing with Walker can run flat out, straight away, speed guy, which, you know, I think you look at that a little taller, him complemented with Zay Jones and then a Bateman who can kind of do everything, and Mark Andrews. I like the idea of that. But the other thing about the Ravens draft in general, where it might not just like wow you with like superstar names, to me the big thing was they addressed needs that were big time with good players. That's the big thing, right? Like they needed a corner. We know that. All right, they got Nate Wiggins. He's one of the, after Quinyon Mitchell, one of the last, you know, man-to-man guys left, right? They need a tackle, right? Ronnie Stanley last year of his deal, they just traded away Morgan Moses. We were talking the other day, we don't even know who's going to be their tackle there, right? So Rogers Rosegarden, getting him. Pass rusher's a thing. You know, Adiza Isaac from Penn State, certainly got some potential there to make it work. We talk about Walker. TJ Tampa, I think, is another guy to get him in the 4th round. Pretty damn good. Bigger corner, right? Not going to be as good man-to-man and moving as Nate Wiggins, but can kind of do it all. So, yeah, I kind of liked all of that right there. I thought they really addressed some things they needed to address.
You liked it. Daniel Kunamoto liked it. He goes, I think the Ravens quietly had a strong first round. Are you kidding me? Picking at 30, and we got Chris Simms' number 2 corner. Sign me up for that every year. And Juice Verhage says, Baltimore's 4th round.
Yeah.
Got some steals. TJ Tampa, Devontae Walker, 2 guys who were projected early day 2 picks. Is something up with them, or did the Ravens just get extremely lucky? Love the pod. So I will say this, and I think this is worth noting every year, because there have been studies on like players who have fallen in the draft. You're like, wow, what great value, what great value. More times than not, those players did fall for a reason. And you are getting real-time feedback that other teams either did not have them on their board, or there was something they didn't like on them. Like the Lions got a couple late guys, and you're like, well, yes, they may have been a steal, or other teams were not interested for one reason or another.
Yeah, no, you know, or you know, hey, how many teams are looking for that straight line speed guy?
That's
and
true.
You know, maybe
the skill set
didn't fit the right spot. It just didn't work out the right way. Right? I mean, I think your comment's right. Devontae Walker, I don't think I expect them to go much higher than that. I thought probably he'd be like a 3rd rounder. I can't remember what I wrote in my notes. I think I wrote like 60 to 80, which means end of the 2nd, 3rd round. So still, for him to be here, and again, I think the cool thing is it's just there's potential here. There's potential to be more, right? He's got incredible big play ability. That's the big thing. And you see him run by guys like Nate Wiggins in Clemson, right, who's the number 2 corner. So I think that's what you look at and go, wait, at the very least, this guy can make a few big plays for us, and maybe Lamar throws a few bombs to us, and we're just a more explosive offense. But I think that's where I like that, you know, definitely. And he's right about the TJ Tampa thing. TJ Tampa's not going to be like, oh, run with the speed guys and change direction with them. But as we kind of talk about, you're in the AFC North, the T. Higgins of the world. He'll be a good matchup for that. He'll be able to go, wait, I'm big, I'm long, and I can move with you a little bit here. And that's where that'll really work, let alone he tackles and he's just a complete football player, which the Ravens always like.
So moving into round 5, you mentioned this for the Bears already, 144 edge, Austin Booker out of Kansas, correct?
Yeah.
So you liked him. Brian Dem wants to comment too. I wanted to hate the Bears taking a punter, but the more I thought about it, and the fact that he has multiple highlight reels, I kind of love it. Am I wrong? Also helps we traded back in for Booker, who most of us wanted. So they got Booker's like, all right, we'll give you that punter thing. I'll tell you what, Torrey Taylor at Iowa, he was their guy. Like they have T-shirts made for him. He was the star of, like they had the stars on defense. They had Torrey Taylor, the punter, and that was it, basically. They had no stars on offense.
Right.
So if you're going to take a punter, he was the guy to take. How high would you ever take a punter when you become GM?
I feel like it's around that range.
What was it? When did they take him?
I believe it was 4, pick 122.
So that's as high. I mean, like he is a different class of punter.
Yeah. It'd be like superstar punter. That'd be about the area you'd start to think about it, right? There is more value in drafting some of these really good punters and kickers than people realize, right? I mean, again, we saw the 49ers draft a guy in Moody, right? And it worked out. They needed it, and he helped them. I know he missed a few here and there, but for the most part, he was good, right? Punters, like the unspoken thing in football sometimes, and we don't talk about how much they change field position, or your team's in a tough spot and you're backed up, and all of a sudden it's a great punt and we go, well, now they're backed up. Holy shit, we didn't get a first down, we didn't move the ball, but our punter, made it seem like we moved the ball and pinned them back there. And there's something to that. I think you look at a lot of the great teams through the history, they had pretty damn good punters. They really did. And it's just one of those where it's like, I don't really want to draft it, right? But I think it is a smart move every now and then.
That's what makes players valuable, obviously, right? It's just like, what is your separation from the next best?
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
How much better are you than everyone else? And he really is in a class.
It seems like
he had a lot of practice at Iowa. He certainly had that, and so had a lot of opportunities to hone his
scoring
craft.
Juggernaut.
Audric Estime, you liked in round 5. Already talked about him with the Broncos,
definitely.
running back out of Notre Dame, 147. Right. Also round 5.
Yeah.
Dolphins edge Mohamed Kamara?
Yeah, right. Colorado State guy.
He was not on my... Oh, you talked about him.
We talked about him a little bit, right? He's a guy that was like, he's not perfect, but there's some, explosion and speed to power that'll certainly pop to you when you watch film. Okay, and they have a need there. That pick there, I think he's better than round 5. And then you look at them and go, I think that's why they probably overdrafted Chop Robertson to a degree. At pick, what was that, 21? I mean, they're worried. How could they not be? They lost Van Ginkel in free agency to the Vikings. Jalen Phillips is coming off an Achilles tear injury, and Bradley Chubb has an ACL injury. Like, neither one of those guys is going to be 100% themselves to start the year.
Right.
So they addressed it with some bodies and some guys that got some real talent and potential.
So we have a comment from Affirmation 93, says the Miami Dolphins should have leaned into their best strength and selected Xavier Worthy out of Texas, although they did get one of my man crushes at wide receiver in round number 6, the wide receiver out of Virginia, Malik Washington.
Oh, that was your guy.
Oh, my gosh. I love watching that guy play. I was hoping the Lions would maybe get something like that.
Well, I mean, the assets are the thing here, right? Like, we started off the show. I mean, again, I just think they're going, wait, we're Tyreek Hill's the highest paid receiver in football. Jalen Waddle's really good, and we're going to have to pay him too here soon, right? And we're going to go with the Xavier Worthy thing. They had too many other needs,
yes.
right? There's too many things there. I was more surprised that maybe more wasn't, put on the offensive line. I know they signed a lot of value free agents and all of that, but I did expect them to maybe address it a little bit more than they did than just the second-round Patrick Paul pick for the tackle from Houston. But I do like the Chop Robinson. I like the Jalen Wright. I mean, again, they're kind of doubling down with offense there of his speed guys, just from the running game aspect instead of the receiver aspect.
Can't have enough of those fast running backs, especially when you got a system like they run.
Right.
Lastrin Man says, I liked what the Dolphins did, but more importantly, I loved how hard you went this year. Slurring by pick 1. Absolutely amazing, mate. I love your show and all the film work you do. So you weren't slurring, okay?
I might have had like a word in the first pick that I slurred, and I was like, damn, I just slurred one right on the first on the first one.
Yeah. We both slur when we're sober, so it's like there's not much of a difference.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm not too good with the English language, even when totally sober is right.
Moving into round 6, pick 192 to the Seahawks. Got one of your top corners
one of
again,
my faves.
In DJ James.
I got to call and see what goes on here. Right? Okay. Something happened. There was something with DJ James. I mean, again. Like, I know he was up there as far as film for other teams, right? I mean, we sat here on the podcast with Devin McCourty. I mean, he said James is one of his favorite corners. We weren't that far off, right? That was one where, I hadn't really checked up on it or heard anything about him. I got to think there's something there, medical, off the field, something. I mean, corners, now again, you know me, I'm not all about always the grading sites and all of that or whatever else. But corners who run, 4.41 or 4.42
right,
and have one of the best PFF man coverage grades there is in the whole draft, right? They don't go here unless something happens. There must be something. Yeah. So I'll be interested. Maybe I can get that for you by Wednesday and kind of let everybody know.
So do some digging, some dirt. I'm looking through his Twitter right now. Nothing much I can see so far.
But I do like Seattle's draft. All right, wouldn't be my favorite, but I like it.
Byron Murphy,
right.
First pick.
Right.
Christian Haynes, the offensive lineman out of UConn.
They need an interior lineman. They need a guard. Haynes will fit that. I like that for sure. Tyrese Knight from UTEP, right? You get the tight end A.J. Barner from Michigan, who's pretty damn good and can do it all, right? A little well-rounded that way. Get another corner from Auburn, in pick 5, in Nehemiah Pritchett, right? So I like those first 2 picks a lot, and then picks 3 and 4 were damn good, and then put me over the top with DJ James, of course.
So Mike and Elma, I don't want to put you in the wrong town, loved how the Seahawks got their best defensive lineman in the draft with the 16th pick. Also, Schneider seemed to focus on drafting 3+ year starters, so guys with some experience and have learned their craft. Morris Bubba says Seahawks picked 3 guards and 3 corners. Not sure where they all will play. Everyone's saying we need depth, of course, is right, but none of our draft picks will be starters. Seems kind of crazy to me.
Well, Byron Murphy's definitely starting. Definitely. Like, who do they – hold on. Let me just pull up to see – oh, okay. Okay, it was more the corners there. I'm sorry. I was kind of like looking up my draft info.
The 3 guards and the 3 corners. They drafted 3 guards and 3 corners.
Let me make sure I read that question there. Well, the guard certainly has a chance to play. I don't think that's like set in stone there. Okay, so I think that's something. Let's see where that goes. Either way, I think it's an area that needs to be addressed, but I think the guard has a chance to play. I'm looking at that right now. I know Laken Tomlinson there. Is Anthony Bradford and Stone about starting there? I don't know. And Tomlinson's older and up there in age anyway, so even, with him being there, it's like, hey, a year, maybe 2, right? And then Haynes takes over. So I think it makes sense from that standpoint, okay? And then the corner thing, okay? Not so fast, my friend. My friend. All right? DJ James can contribute. This is like James, they could find a little thing here. They weren't in love with Tariq Woolen last year. All right, everybody? Don't forget about that. Tariq Woolen was benched at one point. They had issues with him. So I don't think it's set in stone that he gets to just start with the new Mike Macdonald. Mike Macdonald's from the Ravens. He's going to be like, I want people that compete and are crazy all the time. And I don't think Woolen showed that to them last year, right? So don't count out DJ James finding a role there. And Nehemiah Pritchett can play. I know we didn't talk about him. He's a little bit bigger. He doesn't change directions quite the way DJ James is, but like a Tariq Woolen on the outside who's fast and long and play that type of game, he can do that. And I think he's there to compete exactly with Tariq Woolen. That would be my guess.
Pretty cool how both those Auburn guys go to the same team together.
It's amazing.
Rarely
it's amazing.
See something like that. Round 6, you also liked Joe Milton to the Patriots, 193.
If you're going to take a this was my guy to everybody on the radio. Like, if you're going to take a quarterback in the 5th or 6th round, who would it be? I was always going Joe Milton. Joe Milton's the guy. Joe Milton's the only guy I think that is a late-round pick that I go, can actually be something as a starter in the NFL and be like, whoa, he's damn good, right? I think it's honestly a little weird. They got 2 projects they drafted a quarterback up there in New England, and the one they drafted second is going to be the one that pops everybody's eyes open at the first OTA because they're going to go, holy shit, his arm and how big is he? Joe Milton was the only guy in the whole draft process that had some plays that looked like the top quarterbacks in the draft, right? And had a few throws where you went, ooh, like that throw right there, like only Caleb Williams can make that throw in the draft. Like only Caleb. And Joe Milton just did, right? So that's where I like it. He's a great early on developmental third stringer, and you hope maybe in a few years he can be your backup, and then maybe he gets a chance to play and he shows you he can play, right?
Yeah.
That's what you hope there. So I did like that.
Bailey Zappi's time on the Patriots is coming to an end. It's whittling down here. So if you're the Patriots, though, all you need now is either Joe Milton or Drake May to be worth the number 3 overall pick, and you're fine. You have two shots at it right
It doesn't
here.
make sense to me.
You have 2 shots at
it. Again, Drake May needs work. They've already said that. Like, that's not the number 3 pick in the draft to me. That isn't. Now, there's a lot of rumors out there that ownership was like, we're taking Drake May. And the team was like, okay, yes, sir. So, maybe that's the case. But, I don't think we're going to see Drake May in year 1. Just going to be Jacoby Brissett. Bailey Zappi will probably hold on to the backup job because they have nobody else as far as.
that is true.
Right? And I think they're going to just let these guys sit back and kind of enjoy the ride and get used to the NFL life in the year 1.
Sorry to kick you out of town, Bailey Zappi. Don't leave quite yet.
Yeah.
I was premature in that. You liked In the 7th round, 225 overall, you mentioned it already, to the Chargers, wide receiver out of USC, Brendan Rice.
Yep.
You also liked your Mr. Irrelevant, the last player that you liked in this draft. 240 overall in the 7th round, linebacker for the Panthers, Michael Barrett.
Yeah, I like Michael Barrett. You know, it
Where's he out
doesn't
of?
blow you away. He's Michigan. He's the other
Oh
guy.
my gosh, how did I not know that?
He's right next, 23, 25, right in the middle there.
Because when you watch Junior Colson and you watch Michael Barrett, yes, you go, I like both of them.
I do. I really do. Again, it's more of the old school, true middle linebacker type. It's not going to be wowing athletically, but it's good enough to be on the field and do that. So, I mean, out of all the picks in round 7, that was definitely the one that jumped out to me, let alone, hey, the Panthers are one of the teams I wrote down on my list here. Like, it wasn't like, ooh, I put a star next to it for I love the draft, but I love the idea of they got some people and some weapons for Bryce Young, and you could tell that was the number one priority of the draft, and they got that accomplished.
So that's what Di Lehan says. I loved what the Panthers did, surrounding Bryce with playmakers in Xavier Legette, Jonathan Brooks, Jatavian Sanders, plus trading for Deontay Johnson, signing the 2 big guards in free agency. Should be a more respectable offense in 2024. And I think that, like, if you've made a mistake in obviously what happened on the field last year was a lot of mistakes.
Right.
I'm glad that they were aggressive in trying to fix it. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
that's right.
The patience is like they got. It doesn't seem like David Tepper is the guy who has a whole lot of patience anyway.
No.
So that was probably
Especially
the
since
mandate.
he walked into the restaurant this weekend
And
where
took a
it
man's
said,
head off.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
On Friday, they had
Yeah.
the video out, right? He walked into the restaurant that said, let the coach and GM pick, and he walked into the restaurant and asked them who put the sign up.
Yeah.
Like, come on, David Tepper. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, I don't think he has the temperament to
Apparently,
be an
it's-
NFL owner.
He's got
I'm just
a
gonna throw
little
that
too
out there.
bothered, or just gets a little too worried about
Yeah.
that type of stuff. He shouldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, Xavier Legette is a weapon. I mean, he's a weapon. He's Deebo Samuel-ish, like we talked about. He was part of that group we talked about. Could go at the end of the first round, right? So that's great. Brooks, right? Jonathan Brooks, he's big play. He's kind of a weapon too. Again, you give him a seam, he can go 70 to the house. Trayvon Wallace, a really good athletic middle linebacker, and then you get Jatavian Sanders, the Texas tight end, who I think was clearly the second best pass catching tight end behind Brock Bowers in this draft.
Yeah, it was just some of the other stuff that.
Yeah, he needs some help
left
in the
some
blocking department.
Room to be desired.
Right.
Room to be desired.
Room to be desired.
Is that right?
I think so.
Some room. No, that's not right. There's some.
Leave some room to be desired. I think you're right.
There are things.
There's more to be desired. I think there's room to be desired. I thought there was.
All right. Did the lead?
Sometimes I desire certain people in a room. Yo, homies, what's up? I know it's the off season, but it's never the off season on Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Me and Ahmed Fareed are going to be here for it all. You know, we got free agency. We're going to break it all down. The draft, the rankings of positions. Of course, we're going to unpack it all. Hit subscribe. Get to my free agency reactions, 2024 draft rankings, and more. Thanks again for watching. Peace out, homies. See you soon.